You're playing a boy that's a mathematical prodigy, but is suffering also with like a mild autism. So how does one prepare for a part like that?
It's interesting. I had a lot of preparation, both talking to young people who are on the autistic spectrum, who had Asperger's, and learnt about their difficulties they had when they were growing up and some of the problems they faced. And with any child or with any person on the autistic spectrum, there's no one defining characteristic. Everyone is unique. And so talking with Morgan, the director, we created this character, Nathan, and brought him to the screen.
And there's a younger Nathan as well in the film that we see. So did you both work together to kind of get your nuances?
Well, I spoke with him and I talked to him, and he looked quite a lot like me, which is a bit unnerving. But I think because me and Morgan had already started to develop this character, he watched a lot of what I did, I think, and used that to create a certain feel which is similar to what I'm trying to give off.
And what did you take away with you making this film?
A lot. Predominantly the people that I met and the friends and the relationships I formed on the set, and just working with them was such a great experience, and it's not one I think I'll ever forget.
You're working with a director who'd already worked on a project of this nature, so how did that help inform you?
That's a really amazing thing that you don't get very often, is that you get someone who made a documentary about the subject matter that they're looking into in terms of a drama film. I've never done that. That's a very rare thing. So he was sort of an authority on the subject. On paper, Morgan's a first-time director, but because he has such an amazing history in documentaries, he has a dynamism and a confidence which is not usual with first-time directors. So I felt in very safe hands with him.
And you're playing a part who has this brilliant brain, but whose body is physically breaking down. So how do you approach a character that's so conflicted, really?
Well, that's what you want to go for. You want to go with people with conflicts inside them. Those are the people that are worth representing, because I think we all have that in some way. You know, we've all got troubles and we've all got things that worry us, and we've got things that we're trying to disguise, you know, and not give across, and that's what being human is. So this person is an extreme example of that, because his body is deteriorating and he hasn't become he is someone who hasn't realised his potential, and that's a heartbreaking thing for all of us. You know, all we want to do is realise our potential and not cut ourselves short. And he's someone who's done that to an extreme way. But in meeting this young boy, played by Asa Butterfield so beautifully, not only does he rediscover his love for mathematics, he rediscovers his love for people and life, and that was a really joyous thing to do.
Now, how does a documentary become a feature film?
Well, if you've got about 7 years to play with, no, it's quite a long road, and I was very supported. There were people behind the project who wanted to see it happen. And I think people struggle, have much more difficult struggles to make their first film. But at the same time, it's a long road. I made a documentary about 8 years ago, which was the inspiration for this film. And then about a couple of years after that, I was approached by the UK Film Council, as they were at the time, who asked me if I had any ideas or if I'd worked on anything that could be adapted to a feature film. And I'd always felt that the world that I'd experienced whilst making this film about young mathematicians on their way to the International Mathematical Olympiad, which doesn't automatically sound like the most exciting subject for a feature film, but it was more the characters that I found extraordinary. And actually the experience and that journey with them was a wonderful experience. And I'd always felt that it could adapt well to a fiction. And then I got together with a young writer called James Graham, and we worked on the script for a couple of years, and eventually we got to a place where we were shooting it, and now we're here.
And it's obviously a very different process making a documentary to making a feature. So how did you find working with your actors and bringing a performance out in them?
Well, it is very different, but at the same time there are lots of similarities. I mean, they're real people. Actors are real people, and when you're making a documentary, you're working with real people, and they respond in different ways. And I think it's about creating, understanding the individual and creating a space which is comfortable for them, and understanding how they like to work, as much as begin to understand how you like to work. And for me, it's all about finding a place that feels authentic, and however we do that, and whether that's in the second take or whether it's in the 20th take, people work in different ways. And so we were adding little lines, we were improvising, we were kind of finding the place, where it felt good,
in the moment.
Where I believed it, or it made me laugh, or it made me cry. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for the moment where it makes you feel something. If you don't feel something, then what's the point?
You're an actor, it's all about the story. So what was it about this story that particularly resonated with you?
I think it's a beautiful story, coming of age story, and for a child trapped in, autism, he's quite autistic, and I think for any child in that situation, the world is quite a scary place, and he sees the world in quite a particular way, and I just thought it was so beautifully seen, and I didn't find it patronizing. I thought it was very inspiring, and you can relate to it as any child could relate to it, whether they've got Asperger's or on the spectrum. So I just found it very inspirational, really, and beautifully told. But the script was just amazing.
And you're working with a director that knew such a lot about the subject, so that must have been a great help for you.
Yeah, very much so. I think Morgan is incredibly clever and really cares. He really cares about his subject matter and his subjects, and that's probably because he's been with them and come from living with them. So yes, that was so valuable to us to sort of tap into, and seeing the difference. It was his first sort of foray into feature film making, so that was quite exciting, and seeing how different it was, and how he couldn't just put a camera on us and just go where he likes. He found that that was quite interesting to see how different it was for him, and but I think it was really useful for us because he knew the truth. He saw he was right there. So any false note, I think, to him was incredibly jarring, and I think that's can only make a film better because you want to be as close to that line as possible. So I hope that's okay.
Where did you begin in penning this story?
Well, brilliantly, we had this amazing source material in the documentary that Morgan Matthews directed, which was BAFTA nominated. And so he came to me, I saw the film anyway, and he came to me saying, do you think there's a story there? Could it be a dramatic feature? And I instantly thought yes, because I thought the themes of it were so beautiful, about growing up and about finding yourself. And then these amazing characters who I think often get neglected in film. They're very, they're very young, introspective, geeky boys who are just sort of hilarious and brilliantly intelligent. So I wanted to put those on film. So it's all that stuff, really.
Do you yourself go and meet people like that are brilliant yet slightly they're different to other people? Should I say that?
Yeah, I mean, what's amazing about the sorts of people who are, if you're 16 and you're into maths, then you're maybe not what people would consider to be normal. But what's amazing about them is they have this amazing brain, and I think generally speaking a lot of them are quite socially awkward because they're just very into more cerebral stuff. But I think I don't think often we get to see young people on screen who aren't. I think a lot of young people get cast as criminals or get cast as having no talent or skill or having no get up and go. So it's amazing to find a group of 16, 17-year-olds who were very intelligent, very smart, very proactive, and try and sort of give them a voice on screen.
And is it difficult for you as a writer when you've put all this love and energy into these characters that you've written, then to have to let it go and let somebody else take the helm, really?
No, the amazing thing about writing a film is passing it on to amazingly skilled people. So we have an amazing cast, people like Sally Hawkins, Rafe Spall and Asa Butterfield. So when you write dialogue and it goes in their mouth, it just sort of comes out just sort of beautiful and amazing, and you think, oh my God, I don't even deserve that. It's amazing. And then Morgan Matthews, our director, he's such an auteur in terms of how he sees the world. It's so beautiful. So I feel very lucky actually to be able to hand that over to an audience and to a crew that we had. It's amazing.